All right, well, let's get started. Thanks everyone for coming. This is the District 3 neighborhood meeting. My name is Quinn Peterson. I'm chair of the district. Thank you all for being here tonight. We've got a full agenda, so we're going to just jump right in. We're going to start off by going over some department topics. I know everyone's super excited about hearing an update on the Walmart property, so we're going to start with that. Which was the time of Rachel.
Okay, so just a quick update on Walmart. The commercial portion of the Walmart site and project plan was approved by the Planning Commission in March. The other elements of the development, the zone changes, kind of the other things around it, will be heard by the Planning Commission in the next month or two, so be sure to watch out for that. The Walmart Group is working with UDOT regarding access and improvements to the I-15 interchange. Provo Engineering is working on the traffic signal and access to the site on Lakeview Parkway. There is some contact information if you have questions, and that the zone changes, we did talk about those in our May District 3 meeting that we had. And then go to the next slide. Okay, so here's kind of a plan of the commercial area. Again, this was approved by the Planning Commission on March 12th. And so you can see the outline of the building, the parking, and then correct me if I'm wrong, Bill Pepperoni, it was approved with conditions. But I think these conditions are pretty standard, that the remaining CRC comments are addressed, permits, sidewalks, and the final subdivision is recorded, correct? So there's not like any special things. And here's just, so you can kind of see the approved Walmart site, that's the commercial area. That green outline project site, that's potential housing that has not gone to Planning Commission and the City Council yet. And then we have a future retail portion that I'm not sure what that's going to be. Cody, do you have any information? Oh, okay. So 40,000 square feet of retail pads, but nothing sure. Yeah, like we don't know what's happening. And then we do have our economic development director here. If anyone has any questions on this update. Oh, yeah.
Hi, I'm Karen Waite, a long time West Side resident. And of course, we've all been waiting for many years for a West Side grocery. And obviously, this is not a West Side grocery. It is an extreme South Side grocery. But I keep hearing rumors about $1 million that was set aside for the Smiths that was, going to come in on Center Street many long years ago. And I keep hearing that this is now going to be going towards the Walmart people, the multi-billionaire Walton family. I've called 311 and asked them. I've called here a few people and have never been able to get any kind of answer about that. But I would like it if someone could investigate this and make sure that our money is not going to the Walton family, that it's, probably something like Days Market. They would love to probably come, out on the West Side if they were going to get $1 million for it. But I hate to see us spending a lot of money on tax rebates or concessions or whatever the heck it is for the Walmart.
Thank you.
Thank you for that comment. Thank you so much. Is this on? Can you hear me? Okay, great. Cody Hill, Economic Development. I've lived in Provo for 10 years, most of that on the West Side. And I feel your pain. Like, we want stuff on the West Side. And So if I take off my resident hat and put on my economic development hat, I would say this is the perfect place for a Walmart because it is right on our border with Springville. It's called sales tax leakage. So when people in Provo go to Orem or go to Springville, Spanish Fork and do shopping, we call that leakage. And we are leaking our sales tax revenues to other cities. So I take off my residence hat. Well, my resident hat's like, well, it's not that close to me, but I put on my city hat and I say, wow, this is exactly where I would put it if I was, economic development and trying to capture all of the sales tax for Provo on this side. And some also from Springville will come to Provo. And so this is actually pretty great for our city as far as sales tax revenues go. It puts money in our coffers. It provides money for services to provide amenities and benefit everyone in Provo. So in that sense, I really love where it is. And as far as incentives for this goes, we're talking to Walmart. Nothing is official. And anything that happens will happen in a public setting, in a public forum. And we will notify, put out notices so that people are aware of what's happening with that. Yeah, and we are looking and doing sales tax analysis and looking where people are, where growth is going to be, and providing. I mean, I'm saying sales tax revenue and money just because that's kind of where my headspace is at as the economic development director. But just from the humanity side, this does provide a good service. It provides groceries and food in a food desert out there. And so in that sense, I'm very happy about that. And thank you for your question. I appreciate it.
Any other questions?
This last month, I'm a rep for the neighborhood, and I talked to just informally to neighbors about the Walmart coming in, and the reflections I got were very positive that it was coming in. However, they're glad for the reasons that our economic developer said, that there's tax money going into Provo. Does it actually serve as a grocery store for the west side? No, it doesn't. It doesn't help them. So I've lived in my house in the west side for 30 years, and we've never had a grocery store. Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, we were promised, well, there were rumors and so forth. And so the neighbors are happy that the Walmart's going in there. Will they be shopping there? For groceries, they weren't certain about that. What they did indicate to me was, we still want a grocery store on the west side. This is good for Provo, but is it good for us in terms of needing a grocery store? Maybe not. So anyway, I just offer that feedback.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, well, we will move to our next. Oh, Rachel, you got one online?
Okay, yeah, I think it's just on Zoom is just saying that putting a Walmart there is fine, but just want to recognize that the bulk of the people who've been pushing for a West Side grocery store don't find that to be the solution to that need.
Thank you. Yeah. West Side's a big area that covers north and south areas, and it might serve some of the south, but obviously the people that are on the north side, it's far away.
Well, my question is not about the Walmart. It's about the project site. Is this the appropriate time to ask that question that's in the same area?
We discussed that at our last meeting, and it's going to Planning Commission. So I think the appropriate place would be to address your comments to the Planning Commission.
It's a question, not a comment.
Oh, sorry. Questions.
When is the planning meeting for that? And I do have a number of people that I've talked to that are very interested in showing up at the planning meeting and voicing comments. So when can I tell them that's going to happen and where they should go?
As of right now, oh, Aaron, it hasn't been scheduled yet. I will say that if you go to your neighborhood District 3 webpage, if you scroll down to public hearing alerts, this is where I tell you when things are coming to your area, like when they're coming to the meetings. So that would be a good place to check, but they haven't been scheduled yet.
All right. I think we're going to move to the next item, which was a presentation on wrap tax by Quinn Peterson. Here, take the mic.
Thank you. I'm Quinn Peterson. I am here to intro this and to give you guys a little bit of info because I'm not a city employee. I'm a resident of Provo, and I run the Business Alliance in the downtown. Our organization is called Downtown Provo, Inc. And what we have is some city staff here to present some data on the wrap tax, how it's historically been used over the last 10 years, because it is not a new tax, but it is just up for renewal now. So we're going to hand some time over to Doug.
Thanks, Quinn. All right. Thank you for inviting us here today. I'm joined here with John Bunnerson, our projects manager, and our Covey Center for the Arts manager, Stephen Pullen, to talk a little bit about the wrap tax. Advance that slide. So the basics and what we plan to do with it and what we've been doing. What is the wrap tax? It's a local option tax where communities and counties have the opportunity to enact this tax. It was enacted in Provo in November of 2015. It's 0.1% set by statute, state statutes. So it's all uniform across the state. Communities can only assess this amount. So that's 1 penny on every $10 spent in Provo. It's not a property tax, it's a sales tax. So our residents pay it as well as all of the visitors that come to Provo and spend money in Provo. So that's one way in which taxes can be collected from those that aren't living here in Provo. It's set for 10 years and it expires. And again, it's not a new source of revenue for the city. It's existing right now. This is a vote in November to either continue it or discontinue it. And you as voters will make that decision. The local funds column is composed partially of RAP, but this is really to demonstrate what we do with the funds that we do receive through RAP, development impact fees, and other local funds. Those are the two main sources. With those, we're able to use those as seed dollars to go out and get scrappy, as the mayor likes to say, and go out and try to find all of the grant and outside funding sources that we possibly can. Without those seed dollars, we can't leverage those outside dollars to achieve a 2-to-1 ratio. So this is really one of the main benefits of RAP. We're able to use that as a seed match to go out and get those extra dollars. I'll turn some time over to John Bunderson, our project manager. He's going to go through these pretty quickly. There's a lot of benefits we've been able to achieve in the past 10 years.
So I'm going to highlight first those projects that have happened on West Side Provo, including the Unlimited Play Center that is citywide facility that opened up in 2021. What a great improvement to North Park. Backing out, we're going to go over to the Provo River Trail, where we have widened many sections, straightened the trail, resurfaced with new asphalt, and also some trail lighting that's been improved for early morning and late night usage of the trail. Next is Lakewood Park, which was the improvements were 50% RAP tax funds and 50% Utah County grant funds to improve the playground, add shade sails, and get long-term rubberized play surfacing. Many of the playgrounds that will be mentioned have the new rubberized play surfacing that helps us keep in compliance for safety standards for playgrounds. Next is Fort Utah, where we have improved the dugouts and the ball field experience to match major league sports fields, where kids can have that next level play experience. They even have their names called out and walk up music as they come to the plate for both boys and girls sports. West Park had a revitalization project this last year where What was typically an unused park facility is now used much more often, with a sport court that's been installed there that also offers drop-in pickleball play, pavilion, restroom facilities, and a swing set. And great ball fields there to open field space. Another West Side project has been the Delta and the Delta Gateway Park. Just opened this last June and seeing great visitation. Our park staff's trying to keep up with all the use there. Great place to dip your toes in the river or go see some of the wildlife around Provo. And then we're going to jump down to another West Side Provo project with the Epic Sports Park. This has helped local teams get additional field space for play, as well as regional tournaments that have come into the area. That helps with our economic revenues. Some of these have generated around $3 million, a little more than $3 million in a single weekend of tournament play in economic development and filling up hotels in the county up into South Salt Lake County. So I'm just going to go rapid fire through the rest of the town, but just know that we're spreading these funds across Provo City. Riverview Park, these are some of the conditions that were up there with the courts, the trail, playground was outdated, and we were able to get that improved to current standards. And it's a great facility to go visit in the summer, fall, spring, whenever you have time. Well, our graphics are kind of slow, but here's Rock Canyon Trailhead. This is also a property that was improved last fall. A great example of working with county, state, and local funds to deliver a world-class facility. We even had the Rock Canyon Preservation Alliance donate funds for this improvement that brought this all together to have improved access to Rock Canyon and some interpretive information that was installed up there to understand the importance of this area to our community, and for those that come and visit the area to understand that better as well. Okay, so this is Rock Canyon Park. We had some old restrooms. Some of these facilities that we're replacing are over 40 years old restroom facilities that we've been limping along, keeping them operational for the public. They're a focus for us to get them updated and modernized, as well as playgrounds, parking. This is what's been delivered up there at Rock Canyon Park, if you haven't been up there in the last 2-3 years. Great new trails. Just completed new pathway lighting. We did half of it last year and the other half was just completed this week. Quail Orchard Park, one of the other new parks in Provo City. Great internal walking paths, a stream that runs through, pickleball courts for any of the pickleball fans that need play time. There's 4 courts on this site that are typically open. I don't know high demand hours, but they are open throughout non-demand hours. And let's see, so much. Other trails besides the Provo River Trail have also seen improvement. Internal trails to parks like Mazer, I mentioned Rock Canyon Park earlier, Carterville Park, and then College Connector Trail that runs from BYU to UVU. Provo has a section of that trail that we maintain, and it received some major updates about 2 years ago as well, resurfaced and striped. Spring Creek Park was also a beneficiary of RAP tax. It was one of the projects that just needed a little bit of additional funding to bring it across the finish line. Much of the park was funded by community development block grant funds and our impact fees that are assessed to new development in Provo City for park development. I think I've got 2 more. Maybe this is the last one. Rotary Park. This has seen several improvements over the last 4 years, starting with the court replacements, resurfaced and put in post-tension tennis courts and added 8 new pickleball courts, followed up by restroom replacements and playground replacements on the site, and added some shaded swing sets on the site. So with that, I'm going to hand the microphone over to Stephen.
Good evening, everyone. Well, it should come as no surprise that the general manager at the Covey Center for the Arts started life as an actor. So actors like scripts. We don't do things extemporaneous the way these guys do. So I'm going to read a little bit here about the Covey Center and show some slides about it. For over 18 years, the Covey Center for the Arts has served as a cornerstone for creativity, education, and community connection in Utah County. Each season, we welcome more than 150,000 people to performances that range from world-class concerts and plays and musicals to transformative arts education shows in music, dance, and musical theater to world-class gallery exhibitions. Our mission is to deliver inspiring, accessible, and family-friendly programming that strengthens the cultural and economic vitality of our region. With a relatively low budget and a small staff compared to other venues of its size, the Covey Center still manages to outperform other venues in the state. Where most venues have between 100 and 130 events per year, the Covey Center will host no less than 352 this year in the 2025-26 season. The Covey is the home to the Utah Metropolitan Ballet, the Utah Valley Symphony, and the Utah Premier Brass, all of whom perform several times a year at the Covey. In addition to these events, we also offer over 80 classes per year in music, dance, and theater. Some of the highlights of this year's main stage season will be performances like Tony Danza, The Doo-Wop Project, Ballet Folklorico, Richard Thomas and Mark Twain Tonight, Christmas in Killarney, Mrs. Doubtfire, A Charlie Brown Christmas, The Mikado, The Osmonds Musical, The Tina Turner Musical, Fat Cat Swinger, and 9 free concerts by some of Utah's most accomplished musicians and many, many more. It should be noted that 70% of the Covey's patrons come from outside the city of Provo. They bring outside dollars into the city and spend money on tickets, restaurants, ice cream parlors, hotels, which only contributes to increased RAP tax revenues. Some of the capital projects RAP tax has been used for in recent years include upgrading our outdated house and stage lights to low voltage LED instruments, which are much more energy efficient. Replacing our HVAC boiler, which has given us an annual savings of over $25,000. And installing new carpets throughout the building because the old carpets were wearing thin due to such heavy use. Now, while the Covey does not manage the Community Arts Grant Program, which is funded by RAP tax, dozens of artists in our community have received financial support for projects in dance, theater, fine arts, music, and more. Each year, the Arts Council awards $25,000 worth of grants to 10 to 12 local artists and arts groups. To conclude, the Covey Center is the arts hub for Provo and indeed for all of Utah County. We are so busy, we frequently turn people away who want to rent the facility because we simply don't have the available dates. The Covey serves Provo and the surrounding area as a center place for the best the arts have to offer, and the RAP tax is central to that part, central part of that.
Thank you, Steve. All right, so you might ask, how do we determine what gets funded? And we use the city's guiding documents, the Provo Parks and Recreation Master Plan, the General Plan, which assesses the level of service needs throughout the community, as well as community surveys that are performed as part of that at that master planning effort. And then we utilize that to prepare an update each year to the Provo City Capital Improvement Plan with regard to Parks and Recreation, and all of our projects are listed there. And then they're adopted by the municipal council, and that becomes our roadmap for the next year. So these are just some of the projects that have been contemplated. And as we hear input from our residents, those elements are added to this plan as well. And then, of course, each year it's prioritized. Funding is always going to be limited, we take those priorities and we really pursue those, and then look for those outside funding opportunities to extend those dollars as far as we possibly can. These are the 5 categories that we kind of use to guide RAP expenditures going forward. One thing that came through as a real mandate in our community survey was take care of what the community currently has. It's great to build new parks and recreation facilities, and that's really what our development impact fees are for. They can only be used for growth and new facilities. But taking care of, existing restrooms, existing facilities, make those upgrades to the pavilions that we currently have came through loud and clear. Arts will probably rotate up a little higher in priority because during the past 10 years, we've done so many trails projects. Under Mayor Kafusi's leadership, we've really been able to augment the existing trail systems. And throughout the Provo River Trail, you'll see current trails that are 12 and 14 feet wide with nice curves, much safer environments underneath those tunnels where we used to not have those improvements. And then trailheads, long-term planning, and minor capital improvements. So I'll turn the time back over to Quinn. Thank you.
Thank you. So this is the city staff here to present to you guys what's been done with those funds so far. And I am here to just encourage and incentivize and endorse the RAP tax that we've had over the past 10 years. We've been so lucky to have the RAP tax in place and for it to be implemented by the city staff in many of the ways that you just saw. But I don't know that we have time. Do we have time? Can we have a few questions or what? How do things look? Okay. Yeah. Well, it depends. Would you be referencing off the road trails or on road trails? Well, these funds wouldn't be used for on-road trails. That's a different department, different needs. But I've actually been in a handful of conversations regarding off-road trails, mountain biking paths, safer off-road trails. And we're super excited about some of the opportunities that we have coming up. We actually have a large group that does international mountain bike races that are coming out of Brazil, and they want to use Provo for some of their trails coming this year. So we've been working with the Parks Department on the existing trails and also some fun plans for some new trails. What else? Cool. So we're just here to say we're really pleased with what's been able to happen. I could just share before I wrap up. Before I was in this position as the executive director of Downtown Provo, Inc., I ran a shop here on Center Street for 5 years called Unhinged. Unhinged was just a little retail spot that I ran. And what we noticed was the majority of our money was coming from visitors. And so for a couple months, we ran a study and I gathered data through all my employees with each transaction. What we learned was about 70% of the people that were coming into our shop were residents, but about 70% of our revenue that was collected from our sales were from visitors. I share that because that's not necessarily going to be, that's not very scientific. I'm not going to tell you that every store down here has that same spread, but in my experience, when we gathered that data, that was how the money was spent. And I share that because that means 70% from that store that I measured was coming from visitors who are helping us pay the RAP tax. Provo's not the only city, and I'll read this little list, which is pretty compelling, in the county. But here in Utah County, Santaquin, Payson, Spanish Fork, Springville, Mapleton, Highland, Cedar Hills, Orem, Linden, American Fork, and about 6 more all have RAP tax funds, which is a similar sales tax, which is a penny on every $10. So this is not abnormal. This is not a new tax, but it's a continuation of a way that we're able to collect the money, the leakage from other cities. They're going to come to the Walmart, the leakage from all the money that comes into the Epic Sports Park for those events that are happening, the sales tax that's coming into the Covey. We're able to collect a penny on every $10 to help us continue to improve these things. So anyhow, I'm just stoked that Parks has been able to do this and that we're able to continue it. Yeah.
We have question
Yeah.
on Zoom. How much of our external funding comes from federal funding sources that may be impacted by the recent cutbacks?
Yeah, so I know that it's essentially $2 million that's collected through the RAP tax ballpark that's used, but currently, and then you showed that we were able to grow that to about, it was, what was it, 25 million? It was an enormous amount, right? Okay, and so that was largely coming through state and federal grants that were able to match some of the funds that we put in. So, it's a huge amount. It's the majority is coming through other grants. I don't know how those are going to be impacted through cutbacks. Do you guys have answers to that? I don't know that any of us necessarily know how that'll impact these programs, but if we don't have the RAP tax as some of that seed money, it doesn't matter because we don't get that money anyway.
Question. What mechanism do you guys have for Provo residents to provide a voice or input on what they would like the priorities to be for spending the RAB tax money and the other grants?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Great question. We take input all year long in meetings like this. We have our Parks and Recreation Advisory Board that also weighs in on projects that they feel are important. And also just through the public process in council meetings and other ways. A lot of people will call in with a great idea, ask to have that listed as input, and we put that on there as well. Yep. Sure. For example, we just recently we're recently completing our dog park master plan and implementation study. As part of that, we held multiple open houses. And so that all that feedback came together as well as a community survey. Yes, in a report. So in those ways, we gather information as well as when we develop a project, we'll have those same open house environments and organize a design committee, typically gather input from the community, and the community is involved in the design process itself.
And I would add to that, they reference the grants that are available that are managed by the Arts Council. Those grants, when that application process opens up, that is a public notice that goes out. So anybody that has an idea is eligible to apply for those grants, and then those are reviewed by the Arts Council. Now, there's a pretty big demand, so they don't always get funded, but that's another way that all these ideas can trickle into these guys as far as what things might get funded in the future. Yeah. Cool. Anything else? Okay. Thanks, guys. I'm excited about the RAP tax. I hope you are too. It's a huge loss if we don't support it, because then all the cities around us will collect our money and use it for their parks. So.
Thank you so much for that presentation. We're going to move on to some planning items. So Rachel's going to present these. We have about 5 to 10 minutes per item. We've got quite a few, so we do want to hear comments, but if you can, share your comments as concisely as possible.
Great. Okay. First of all, a plug that Neighborhood District 3 board member Brooke Barnes just got put on the Parks and Rec board. So you have someone that you can speak to kind of give feedback on that. She's back there. And and David Gale, if you want to stand up, he's our newest Neighborhood District 3 board member representing Lakeview South. So, okay, so this first item, just to tell you where it's at in the development process. A developer comes up with an idea. He applies with the city. It goes through a ton of reviews. And then the planning commission makes a recommendation, and then the city council makes the final decision. So this first item we're going to hear, which is going to be presented by Jared Morgan, is still in the review process. So what you see presented may be a little bit different than what is presented at the planning commission meeting, depending on what the city asks him to change.
Thank you for having us tonight. My name is Jared Morgan. I'm representing the family that owns this property. Tonight's kind of a fun night for me. I actually was the downtown Provo neighborhood chair at one point. I launched Downtown Provo Inc. in 2010 with John Curtis and a few others. And so Quinn is actually a much better downtown Provo director than I ever was, for sure. you have a really good guy in Quinn. So I have a lot of fun experience in downtown Provo, and I'm excited to continue development in your city. So this property has been in the family since 1963. They've historically been mostly a cabinet shop here in this property. Uncle Joe is his name. He's operated here for quite some time. The family came to me probably 7 months ago and asked that we consider more of a legacy type project for the family and reinvent land use for the property. The property's seen better days, and they'd like to clean it up, and we're proposing a rezone, and which we've submitted to the city, and also a concept plan, which you'll see this evening. It consists of two properties. Approximately 1.25 acres of real estate, and it sits just southwest of, I think it's called Fort Utah Park. So that helps orient you. It's right on Geneva Road, just southwest of the park. You can go to the next slide. So it's an interesting parcel. It's very, it's kind of a deep parcel. Not a ton of frontage on Geneva Road. And so as we were going through kind of the highest and best use options for the property, we felt like bringing kind of that middle market, middle housing to the area would be an interesting land use here. We have both for sale and for rent product that we're proposing here. And the family would intend to, hold on to some of the units and have a revenue stream for the family. But then we would, sell others as well. So in looking at the general plan, it feels like, this area is kind of positioned for kind of a mixed use opportunity. And, with the orientation of this parcel, we felt like a residential play here was the right play. So I'm a big fan of this neighborhood program that Provo has, and I love the ability to collect feedback. I've knocked the doors of the homeowners that back this property and tried to educate them a little bit on what we're doing. But forums like this are very helpful. And this is actually very unique that a city does this. And so welcome the feedback tonight. We'll continue with our applications. We've met with Dustin Wright and Aaron and team a number of times, kind of working through the concept. We've met with David Day, Public Works, working through the concept. We think you have capacity to accommodate this, and anxious to further the discussions here. So this is a elevation concept of kind of what we're considering. Again, we have for sale and for rent product that would be here. So yeah, happy to take any questions that you might have, and I might not be able to answer all of them, but I can try. So yeah, in the back. Yeah, it's currently proposed 26. But given our last meeting with the planning department and Public Works, we might be losing a few units. Just we're still working through some of the roadways and connectivity to Geneva and things like that. So
There's a question on Zoom.
Okay.
Is there any way the owners can sell to someone that will keep the zone commercial? We have so few commercial zones and they are all being turned to residential. We need to reserve what commercial we can because we don't have the infrastructure to support all the growth.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I'm sensitive to that, being from, working in downtown Provo for so many years, like I know the importance of commercial and retail sales tax generation, for the city. So I get that. When it comes to pockets like this in the city, specifically this parcel, I think we need to be wise about the product types that we bring to the marketplace. I'm not going to speak on behalf of the family on whether they would want to pursue a commercial use here. This is what they've brought to the table, and I'm on board with the land use direction. So, we can address that question if it comes up later in public meetings. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, more like a duplex product. Mhm. There's some, mostly vacant land, but the buildings that are there are commercial use. Correct. And the current zone is commercial for these two properties as well. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's almost like you're asking to downgrade your property. Most people would be willing to pay a lot more to have it.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt real quick. I'm sorry. People on Zoom can't hear unless you are speaking directly into a microphone. So we need
I can walk this around too.
I have a question about, of course, we need housing, but I'm just kind of concerned about the fact that there'd be 26 or 25 or even 24 units. I know a lot of the townhomes and more high density homes along Geneva north of that, there are as many as 3 cars per unit, sometimes even more depending on, the family that's moving in from somewhere and so on. And multiple families sometimes live together. And it's right across the street from the parking lot of the park. And I'm just wondering, it seems like, I don't know how you can get 75 cars in here parked. And I kind of thinking that most people are going to end up parking in the park across the street in the parking lot and or along the street on Geneva. But Geneva already there, that parking on Geneva is really crowded already right there. And so my concern is the parking and just the fact that the effect that will have on the park across the street. And that is kind of cramped parking whenever there's a Little League game too. We have Little League there and there's no parking when there's Little League. And that Geneva Road is just packed with cars up and down the street. So that's just my comment.
Yeah, thank you. We can definitely address the parking and be sure we're working through that appropriately with planning and that we're being thoughtful on that. So there was a question in the back.
Oh, it was me.
Oh, it was you.
I was just curious what percentage of rental units versus for sale units. Do you guys have any idea what that would be for this project?
I mean, we want to address the affordability component. I think this is a great opportunity to address that with the for sale product. We haven't quite determined the ratio. And so it's difficult to make things pencil right now, to be frank. Like real estate development is challenging. And so we have to be careful on our debt structures and how we're underwriting this thing. So we don't have a ratio yet, but we do know we want to have some for sale product. Yes, ma'am.
Another on Zoom. If we as a city are going to develop properties, do we require a percentage of green space per acre, like yard, shared space, as long as it's landscaped with greenery? There's a lot of manufactured surface for this property and not much greenery.
Yeah, good question. We actually addressed this last week with the Planning and Public Works Department, and the plan that you see before you will be modified to meet the green space requirements, which is, we will likely lose a few units to accommodate that. So, but we'll be compliant with all of that. So.
I'll just share. There's a comment we get a lot. Just if you do have units for sale, we'd love to see something in CCNRs that require they to be owner occupied and not someone sells them and then turns around and just rents them out.
Yeah, note taken. Yeah.
I have one more question since I have the mic.
Sorry.
Oh, was there? Oh,
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to speak up a little bit about the dust. I know that obviously when you have construction, you have dust. And I don't live close. I live quite a bit north. But where I live, there's a new development going in, and it's across the road from me, and I'm a couple of houses down. I have a parking space out in front of my house. I can wash my car, park out there. In 2 hours, my car is completely covered with dust every single day. It's been that way for 2 or 3 months now. And I just hope, for the sake of the people that are going to be living in your area, that you as a developer make sure that you use, I don't know, use some water or just, do something so those people aren't going through the same experience I'm going through. Thank you.
No, thank you for the comment. Yeah, we're sensitive to dust mitigation and controlling that. And I see a Geneva Rock hat out here in the audience. They're very aware of dust mitigation. Actually, I worked with Geneva for years, and so we're sensitive to that, and we use pretty strict protocols on our sites to mitigate some of that.
Brooke, did you have a question real quick?
Yeah, I just had one more really fast. I'm curious, do you have a plan for parking for the residents that would potentially live in this project?
Well, I mean, all of these units have garages and driveways, and so 2-car garage. Yeah. So in theory, you could have 4 vehicles, parked here. And so, while we haven't like fully probably addressed all of your concerns, we're still working through that. I do feel like we have ample parking on the site. So. Anybody else?
Awesome. Any more questions? Thanks so much for everyone that has shared their thoughts so far. Awesome. And if anyone does have any questions, Rachel, who should they send? Just take it to the Planning Commission when it comes before Planning Commission?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay, this next one, while I think Aaron Ardmore comes up, I think he's presenting this one. So this one has gone to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission gave a recommendation of approval, but it still needs to go to the City Council. So if you have feedback, you can go to the City Council. They're having their meeting for this item Aaron's going to talk about on September 9th.
Okay, thank you. So yes, this went to the Planning Commission. Planning Commission recommended approval. So the request here is the property, if you can go to the next slide. There you go. So you see the large home on the left side of the A11 zone. That property is to take some more land from the kind of vacant R1 land below it. So in order to do that, they're going through a subdivision process. With that subdivision process, that A11 zone needs to be extended. They want to keep the agricultural right on the property. So that's what they're asking, is to extend the A1 zone down to where the new property line will be on the south edge of the property. The remaining R1 property will stay R1. It will stay vacant, undeveloped, There's no proposal for that at this time, so it's just in relation to the home in the A11 zone. It's going to be city council, the zone change on city council on September 9th. So if you have comments or feedback, be sure to come out to that hearing. Any questions? So it's just off of 620 North.
Yeah, the 620 north and looks like 2580 west about here. This one's unusual. We never get residential moving to agricultural.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, and again, that one's going to the city council September 9th. And then this next one has passed all its reviews and it's going to the planning commission next week, August 27th here in this room at 6 o'clock. And then to the city council on September 23rd.
Yes, that is correct. And it has gone through staff review. It's received staff approval. So it's been found to meet all the standards and regulations of the city. So that property there that you see highlighted, the existing home in about the center of it would remain. The rezone is to be able to create the three new building lots, 2 to the north of it and 1 to the south. Those 3 new lots would be accessed off of 2830 west. So the family's taking that rezone through to try to get some more building lots out of the property and sell those off for future residents. Any questions on that one?
We're going through these fast. Okay, for this next one is Anthony Morales. Oh, awesome. Anthony Morales is here. He's going to present on this one. And again, this one has gone through department review and it will go before the planning commission next week, August 27th, and then to the city council on September 23rd.
So yeah, this is this lot right here. My grandma's house is the bottom lot in the green there, and I just purchased that top lot from her just about a month or so ago. And so yeah, we're proposing to make the whole L shape a R1.7 zoning. That way we can build a house on that lot. So that's really all I got. Thanks. Thank you.
Okay, our last one. This is another one that is going to the planning commission next week, August 27th, and then to the city council on September 23rd. So I will turn the time over to Bill Pepperoni.
This next project is actually, just pick me up. So this next project is actually a joint venture between Provo City and Nilsson Homes. I'm sure it's no surprise to anybody in this room that the state has been experiencing a housing shortage. In fact, the governor's been referring to it as a housing crisis. So the governor, the state legislature, the mayor, and the city council have all been discussing this housing situation we're in and what different things can be done to try to bring more product to market. It's the housing deficit that's pushing prices up and making things less and less affordable. So as a result of these discussions, the mayor and the city council asked staff to look at city-owned parcels to see if any would be appropriate for residential housing. The direction that the mayor and the council gave us was that we should look for housing that could be for sale and owner-occupied and workforce housing. We were given those goals to try to fulfill. Just to make sure that we're all understanding terms or terminology, let me talk for a minute about workforce housing. Workforce housing means it's income restricted for people who make between 80% and 120% of the area median income. That income goes up or down depending on how many people are in the family. So for a one-person household, the income range is $66,500 to $99,750. For a family of four, that income range is $94,950 to $142,425. So if that person or that family fall within that income range, they can qualify for a workforce housing unit. One of the goals we were also given in this project was to try to provide housing for the city's first responders, policemen, firemen, and also for city employees, other city employees. We just spent a solid week with several dozen city staff in training with FEMA to be prepared for a flood or an earthquake or a forest fire, some type of large disaster. Most of our city first responders don't live in Provo City. They can't afford to. This doesn't serve us well as a community. If we have some kind of actual emergency, disaster, if it takes our policemen and firemen anywhere from hours to days to get into the city, that doesn't serve us well. So one of the objectives is to provide housing for first responders and city employees, like I said. This subdivision, we have the subdivision plat, Rachel. This subdivision is for 68 homes, single-family detached homes. Once the parcel was identified as being appropriate, the city put out a request for proposals for developers or builders to work with us on this project, on this property. 3 building companies responded. Only one of the building companies proposed doing single-family detached homes. The other proposals were either all for townhomes or 80% townhomes. So since Nielsen Homes was more in keeping with the direction the city council and the mayor sent us, they were selected to work with us on this project. I've never worked with Nielsen Homes before. I've been in this area of my profession for over 30 years. I've never worked with Nielsen Homes before. They're primarily up north. In the months that we've been working on this, I've been very impressed with their thoroughness and their thoughtfulness and their approach to the project. They are experienced in building just this type of development that has a mix of market rate homes and workforce housing homes. I said a minute ago that this would be 68 single-family detached homes. Half of those would be sold at market rate and half would be sold as workforce housing. Okay, that's pretty much all I have. Matt Meyer with Nielsen Homes will now come up and talk more about the project.
We prepared a quick video on the project that I'll show to you first, and then we'll talk through it. Thank you.
For over 40 years, Nielsen Homes has built a reputation for quality, reliability, and integrity in communities across Utah. Jed Nielsen and the Nielsen Homes team are committed to working with cities to make housing more affordable for Utah families. Our JDC Ranch community in Weber County shows how a mix of home sizes and styles can create a welcoming, well-designed neighborhood. Now, Nielsen Homes in Provo City are developing Delta Vista, a 68-lot community just south of Provo High School. This partnership is about building more than homes. It's about building a vibrant place where people feel they truly belong. We're excited to help 68 families become homeowners and build their futures. Want to stay in the loop? Visit our build page for updates.
Okay, great. That, if you do take a picture of that, that will take you to the site that we're building. Is there an echo? That will take you to the site that we're building for people to be able to track these homes. So my name's Matt Meyer. I'm an engineer with Nielsen Homes, and I'm about as excited as an engineer can be about developing this neighborhood. we have a long history at Nelson Homes of innovation and coming up with home plans and communities that people can afford to live in. I have 4 boys in their 20s, and some of them are starting families, and they can't live in my neighborhood, and they can't live really anywhere around my neighborhood. And so I've kind of made it my mission to change that. And that's Nelson Homes' mission also. And when we found out that Provo City was trying to do something innovative to figure out a way to have the people that work for the city live in the city, we were all about that. So we submitted a proposal, we're selected, and we've been working with Bill and the city for several months now, trying to come up with a plan that will work and provide 34 homes that will be available at a reduced price for city members, and that are selected by the city, and 34 market rate homes over by Provo High School. So before I go on, are there any quick questions that before we get off the video? Go ahead. So the idea is that the reason that they can be discounted is because of the market rate ones will carry most of the load that needs to be carried in order to develop the property. So that's why we arrived at half.
Market rate homes help us deliver more affordable.
Right, right.
What is the price point of the more attainable, like the workforce housing?
So as Bill mentioned, in order for them to qualify under Provo's rules, so Provo will.
I just mean the price of the homes. I get that. Is that what you're
right
getting to?
Okay. So what we have to do is we have to balance what home can we build to match the employees' needs, and what employees are going to match the homes, right? So it's not easy to say it's going to be a certain amount, but it will be under the 120% of the AMI, the adjusted median income of the employee and the employee's family.
And then it will be like 30% of that income is going to be what the mortgage would be. I mean, like.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
30%.
Okay, so my backyard is against the build, and we are all Hunter homes. And if anyone is aware of how awesome Hunter homes sometimes are, they built all those houses in that area with compressed wood foundations. Compressed wood foundations are not great, correct, sir?
I think we're going to go ahead and use cement.
Okay, so here's the problem. When they built Provo High, we were all for it. I represent some of these people and a lot of people at home who are very concerned because we were having lots of dirt brought in. They pounded and pounded the ground. We had cracks in our cement and in our walls. People had windows broken. People's cement outside cracked. The city said, not our problem. It's the builders. Not our problem. It's the school district. No one took accountability for this. So as I'm looking at the area, I'm seeing a giant area where you guys are going to bring in dirt. And there's some areas where it's definitely, I can stand in holes and it's taller than me. You guys are going to come pound dirt and it's going to ruin my home. And so I'm all for, like, yes, we need affordable housing, but there's high water tables out there, compressed wood foundations. With the compressed wood foundations, anytime you introduce moisture or vibration, things like that, you're damaging the homes in the area. So I would like to request and propose that we get an outside source because this is the city's baby. I don't want the city doing it. I need to request that we do some geographical and geotechnical and hydrological and vibration impact assessments to find out if we're going to damage other homes to be able to provide homes for other people, because the existing people in that neighborhood also matter. And we brought it to city council numerous times. We've emailed city council and we are not being heard. So this is a very big concern, and I don't want my home damaged. I'm also a social worker. My husband's a cop. We can't afford to like redo our whole home because we are also fitting in that low middle class. So this is a big issue that I feel like needs to be addressed, that the city council has not listened to us about.
So that is a great question. You heard the part where I told you I was an engineer, right? So this is right down my alley. Oh, good. That's what I wanted to bring up. So you see in the back, most of the green area in the back has been designated as wetlands.
So there is
Sure.
against my house and against my lovely neighbors here who also have.
So you're over here someplace?
Yeah.
Okay.
That giant lot, which I'm not sure if it's the triangle, my house is up there, to the right, little, yeah, right there. And then these guys
Gotcha.
are next to that. And all along there, so 2000 east of me, the foundation is on flags there because there's small tanks right there. So this is a fragile area that I'm very concerned they're coming to put houses on. They're going to destroy our houses and probably houses. Like, it's
So we're midway in our geotechnical investigation. We've laid this out according to the zoning that we're requesting. We have done the environmental assessments and the wetlands delineation, and so we're working through all the engineering that needs to go on to be able to put this housing in there. One of the key aspects of being able to develop on a land that's obviously low, because you see we're right by the river, is the geotechnical investigation lets you know how much fill and how much compacted fill and what types of fill need to be under the roads and under the foundations to be able to, have the houses not swimming away. So being able to have because these are designated wetlands, we actually aren't allowed to touch them during construction without special permits. The only touching of those wetlands that we're going to do are a couple of bridges that we're putting on a trail so that the residents can walk back there. And I'm sure you can too. So all that engineering stuff has to be worked out before we go from where we are now to where we can.
So how are you protecting our homes then from the shaking? Because you start pounding, we will have cracks and stuff. No one took accountability for it last time. How are our homes going to be protected from this? Because you are going to have to bring in dirt, and I'm hearing that they're not going to touch that wetlands. That's awesome, but my house is. You guys are gonna. There's between me and that property, there's about 2 feet, just even a drop in my yard, which means definitely dirt will be brought in right by my house.
So we wouldn't bring it into backyards.
Well, into the land that is connected
no, what I
to my
mean
backyard.
is our backyards.
Okay.
So the only consolidation of dirt we would do would be under the footings and foundation of the homes that we build.
Okay.
And also the roads.
Okay.
So
well, there's a road also running. Half my house is a road and half my house is a house. And there's roads behind. So the roads run up right up against the homes. And we were here feeling pounding, and there were people's windows breaking across Lakeshore Drive, our windows, just from the high school. And the high school is a good ways away, obviously, because you guys are putting a bunch of houses in between them and that. And so how are our homes going to be protected? Because you are going to bring dirt and pound, even if it's, from here to there, if you're a house, because the houses are stacked on top of each or really close. If you pound from there, it's still going to affect my home. It's still going to shift my foundation. It's still going to shift dirt. And I can't do anything about the fact that the city approved my house to have a crappy foundation, but that it is what it is. And if we're going to destroy existing homes to build these homes, that is not okay.
Yeah.
And
so,
no one's telling you how they're going to protect that.
So I would argue that you can do something, and you're doing something right now, right? You're bringing it to our awareness, and maybe we have to use, certain types of rollers around the closer we get to other residences so that we don't shake you up quite as much, So this is part of the process. We know that you're sensitive because you have the foundations that you do. And so we need to accommodate for that.
So can we request like that you guys come and do evaluations of all our foundations, and then if there is any damage, the city is responsible? Or who's going to be responsible? Because last time nobody was responsible. That's a problem, right?
Obviously, if we cause damage to other people's homes while we're doing construction.
But how do we prove it? That was our problem. Everyone said, it's not our problem. So then there's no proof. This is a big issue that I really would like real answers for and really address. Everyone along there is very concerned about what is going to happen to our homes.
Okay. Well, let us look into it and look at different construction techniques that will shake you less for sure.
Question.
So kind of along the same line. So you said that road is going to be raised up. You're going to need to be. So that is literally bordering my backyard. Am I looking at a retaining wall back there? Like what? I mean, the road is going to be like at my waist. Like my kids play back there. What is the plan?
No, we don't anticipate that. We don't anticipate any like feet of.
Okay, when my backyard is feet lower than the high school road that is currently there. It is lower.
So what we anticipate doing is we'd remove on our side of the property, we would remove the soggy soils, replace that with engineered fill, and then build the road roughly at the same grade that it is right now. So, and we anticipate having a fence in between us and you anyway.
Right.
You guys are good. So you're planning on putting in a fence already across the back of our property there?
Correct.
What kind of fence is that? Like, is that just going to be like a chain link fence or?
I can't remember what the rules were for fencing, but it will be, the city approved fencing that we're required to put in.
I wonder how many people here remember 1983.
I do.
In 1983, the lake came up within half a mile of Geneva Road. You could go down Harbor Drive now it's called, I think. And you just go a little ways and you have to stop. And there's catfish all over the place on the road, And all these people were sump pumping and sump pumping and sump pumping. And now, of course, they're building way west of there. We've been really, really dry for a lot of decades now. But those of us who remember 1983 just shudder when we look at all the stuff that's going on where our lake used to be.
So you're also talking my language. I remember 1983, and I know of the hydrogeologic studies that we're taking part in to make sure that doesn't happen to our subdivision.
But Mother Nature sometimes has her own way. Yeah. And I have a feeling that things may go downhill really badly one of these days.
Well, I certainly hope not. But we'll be as prepared as
a question behind you. On the proposal, this proposal, it sounds like, if I heard correctly, mortgages are going to go for about 30% for the home value for the city workers.
That depends. It can be from 30 to 50 depending on their qualifications.
I think a lot of people might be a little worried about the fact that people make a four-person family, which is kind of small for Provo, making 120% of being eligible for a home at 30% of the value. And, I'm not here to make it an argument one way or the other about that. But one of the questions is this is a nicer area of West Provo. We have some nice areas in West Provo, and we have some other areas that are very much more modest in small vinyl siding homes and everything. And The question that comes to my mind is, let's say I work for this city because I can get a home that's maybe worth $500,000 for 30% of the value. And when I get it, the mortgage in my name, I just quit and go work somewhere else. What is that kind of scenario? Is that even anticipated?
No, but that's a Bill question. I'm an engineer.
Yes, we don't anticipate somebody having to continue to work for the city, but once they buy the house, it has to stay in that workforce range. So if somebody buys the house and then moves within a few years, they're allowed to take a portion of the appreciation, but not the market appreciation, because that same affordable house, workforce house, has to go back into the workforce pool so the next family can buy it. But is continued employment at the city required? We haven't made that decision finally, but that seems like a really tough requirement for us to put on somebody. What if we have a fireman who gets a really good job with another city to say, well, you can't take that, you're going to have to lose your house? That seems harsh, but we haven't made those final decisions.
So do you have something on the mortgage itself that
Yes.
keeps it in the city custodial?
The workforce house lots go into a land trust, and the land
Oh.
trust manages actually owns the property and manages every sale.
Oh, so the city still owns the home.
The land trust will own the land. The property
Oh.
owner will own the home.
Okay.
So every new sale is a workforce sale.
And
Right.
that's like a covenant that's put into the home?
Yes. Yeah, and it's tied to the land that's underneath the home.
Question on Zoom. Yep. Will the units have basements or will the floodplain issue prevent that?
The floodplain issue will prevent that. Keep these engineering questions coming though. Appreciate it.
Okay. Oh, well, this is not so much an engineering question, so maybe more for Bill, but well, more to concern it. I'm just gonna read it because I get too nervous in front of everybody. Sorry. According to the Provo City School District study session held on August 12th of this year, Provo High School is already over capacity despite being only 7 years old. While the building may accommodate future expansion, such a project would take time and funding, neither of which are currently in place. Meanwhile, the addition of these 68 homes plus all the other homes we talked about tonight, plus the Ivory homes, plus the homes by Walmart, we have a ton of residential coming in, would likely bring dozens, if not hundreds more students to the area, worsening the overcrowding. At the same time, right now, the district is prioritizing long overdue renovations elsewhere, which is understandable. But that means that a solution for Provo High could be years away. Rather than adding stress to an already strained system, this land presents an opportunity to plan ahead, potentially using the space for future school expansion, additional services, athletic facilities, or community resources that could enhance the high school experience for both students and families. The increase in student population at Provo High has already led to significantly more traffic exiting Bulldog Lane onto Lakeshore Drive. While Lakeview Parkway has alleviated a portion of this flow, the majority of vehicles, including student drivers, staff, and buses, still use Lakeshore Drive as their primary route. This creates a dangerous situation for pedestrians, especially young children who walk to nearby elementary schools and rely on neighborhood crosswalks. Adding more families and potentially over 100 more vehicles to this area will only compound these hazards. I just want to echo what Marcia said earlier. Eventually, we're going to run out of land in Provo, right? There's not going to be more land to develop. Are we really going to be happy that we just shoved residential wherever we could because we're in crisis mode? That is not a great way to make decisions. We need to make decisions looking at the long term. What do we want Provo to be like? Do we want to really just do this right now because this is what we need right now? Let's think about the future, especially for our kids. I have kids. I mean, we live right there. And one of the reasons we moved right there is because of the schools. We're excited for our kids to go to those schools. I was pretty frustrated to find out that after only a couple years, Provo is already overcrowded. What's going to happen in 10 years when my kid goes to that school? How bad is it going to be? right? I just wonder if we are rushing through this decision without really thinking and planning and figuring out what is best for our city.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't speak at all for the school district. I will say that, okay, I'll hand it to you next then. I will say that I don't feel like we rush into anything and cram things in because we follow the city's general plan. The general plan looks 20 and 30 years out. It is vetted by the public, it's adopted by the city council, and as staff, it is our responsibility to follow that plan and move it forward. Much of the west side is planned for residential development, just like this. I don't know of a city that says we're not going to approve this project or not allow growth in this area because the schools are at capacity. It's the school district that has the responsibility to provide classroom space. But I'll let the school district chair or member speak.
I'm only going to speak about Provo High, not the other schools. But the boundary study is on the agenda for Tuesday's board meeting. You can come and give public comment, and but we're not going to be talking about Provo High specifically. We're going to be talking about other schools, but the boundary study in general will be on the agenda. And if you live by Provo High, that means Emily Harrison is your school board member. And you can email her. I can give you her email address if you want to ask her specific questions.
Okay, so I have emailed the school board and they have given me similar answers. Here's my thing that I'm frustrated with. You guys are busy with other school projects, right? That are necessary, right? Timpview and Wasatch, those are big problems that are long overdue. Why do we have to wait for a problem to be overdue before we fix it? That is exactly what I'm concerned about with Provo. We get rid of this land, then what if we need it? Where are we going to go?
Oh, we don't need
Right.
that land to expand Provo High. There's already, when they built Provo High, they built it so that a fourth
Another
wing can be added on in that area.
Which can,
and if you ask the Provo High students, they'll say the biggest problem they have is the small cafeteria. So,
right.
Yes. Yes.
What
That
I'm
was
saying
made,
is
not
it took
my decision.
7 years to fill up 3 wings. You're going to build another wing. How long is it going to be before that wing is full? Then what?
And that's why we're doing a
Right.
boundary study, because the boundaries
Right.
might change.
But once they put in this development, it will be too late. How much will it cost us to hold off on this and wait a few years and see where Provo High comes, especially when all this housing comes in, right? Why don't we wait and see how many students that brings in, wait and see on this, and then decide how long is Provo High really going to last? I do not want to see a bill or whatever come through my mail saying we need money to buy in or to build a new school in 10, 15 years.
The school district
That would
does
be
own
crazy.
property north of this area.
For an elementary school in the Ivory Homes
If
area.
we-
Is that what we're
That doesn't
looking
mean
at?
we're going to use it for an elementary school.
But it's
We're
too small
still
for a high
waiting
school.
to
You wouldn't put a high school there.
And we're still waiting to decide about what to do with Dixon. So
All I'm saying is how much would it hurt us to hold off on this project? And
that's
think
a them
about our
question, not a
children.
me question.
Thank you.
Okay. Up. Okay. Was there one more? One about mixed use on that. It looks like maybe that would help the cafeteria issue. So maybe restaurants or something like that. But we do need to move on. I do want to. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I do want to say that the purpose of this meeting is to ask questions of the developer, to state your opinion, whether you are for or against this should go to the planning commission and the city council, because they're the ones who actually make the decision. And so if you have actual questions for the engineer, then those should be asked here. If you just want to say, I hate this idea, I don't want to do it, that needs to go to the planning commission and the city council.
Sorry, we were told this is the time to come and voice our opinions and this is where we talk about this. So we just.
And we will
there.
forward your information, your concerns to the planning commission and the city council. But we really want to emphasize that this is step one. And one of the things with the neighborhood meetings is people voice their opinions and they voice it, and then they never go to the planning commission and the city council meetings. And then the planning commission and the city council think, oh, everyone likes us because no one's here. So so, well, that might be for our next topic where we introduce the candidates for mayor and city council. Okay, one last.
So this is a question for the developer, but one of the things that I see with development is that a developer will come in and everything's kind of cookie cutter. I know that you said that you have different, house things that you can buy, but are all the lots going to be the same size? Is it going to be, I don't know. I just really like the look of a neighborhood when I think it's unfortunate that we have developers that come in and develop huge swaths of land. I like to see, where people come in and can buy a lot. And so it's everything going to be the same. All the lots going to be the same. I don't know. Well, it can be a planned community, but not have everything be the same, right? Like not every lot the same.
Stagger the fronts, you have different housing types in different areas. You have a flow to the neighborhood. You just can't do that.
That's fine. I won't argue that point. I'm just wondering, when I saw your plans, it looked like every lot was the same and okay, that's what I wanted to know.
And because we're having two different types of product, a workforce and market product, there's some differentiated there too. And the whole trick is to integrate all that so it feels like one neighborhood.
That sounds good. Thanks.
In the region, and not all of them. We have in one side and then correct. Yes, they'll be integrated. Well, I apologize to the candidates. Haven't been able to do some stuff yet, but thank you for listening to us, and we look forward to seeing you.
Thank you so much. Now we're going to go into our meet the candidates time. So we're going to start with the candidates for mayor. So we Mayor Kafusi and Marcia Judkins. Giving you each about 2 minutes. So.
I'm wearing the same thing. I did not plan that. I spoke at an elementary school and the little girl said, question, you're wearing the same outfit. It's a 7-year-old video. I was. So my name is Mayor Michelle Kafusi, and I just want to start off by thanking everybody for coming tonight and letting you know how important it is that we hear your voice. We hear you, and it's important that you come. We need to hear your concerns. We need to hear what you're worried about and how we can be helpful. It's so interesting that there are close to 120,000 people in this city. This is a huge district, and look how many of you are willing to put in the time to come and let us hear you so we know what to focus on and where to put our work at. I just want to start by saying we did an amazing plan. This is a plan that is our Southwest neighborhood plan. This was worked on for quite a few years, and we start these plans with a neighborhood committee. We had 12 residents from the Southwest neighborhood on this for over a year. Raise your hand. Is anyone here that was on that committee? We probably burned you out. That's why they're not here. And we are getting ready to do our Central West and our Northwest neighborhood plan because we want you here. Anyways, really quick, we love working with the neighbors. I write things down and I get on a distraction. But let me tell you a few things. We want to focus on your neighborhoods. So my 4 pillars and talk about the progress that's being made in your district. So welcoming, we have, like they discussed, we've done major trail improvements along the Provo River, Lakeview Parkway, new greenway at 4 Utah Park, Provo River Delta, and the Delta Gateway Park. Safe and sound, Lakeview. We had a wonderful event on Saturday where we celebrated the completion of our Lakeview Parkway. The reason that's safe and sound is because now that ensures faster first responder times.
That's time.
Darn it, Jennifer. I'm going to email this to Rachel if she wants to send it out. Thank you, everyone.
Two minutes is not a long time for some of us, me. I'm Marcia Judkins, and I'm also running for mayor. I live in West Provo. I've lived there for almost 40 years. I have a real vested interest in our neighborhood, and I also appreciate you coming out here tonight. I served on the school board, and then I have been actually your representative up at the State House for the last 6 years. And I decided to step down from that because I wanted to come back and serve Provo. I love Provo. You've heard tonight, there are a lot of things that are going really well here. And I appreciate that. But we also have challenges. And I think that it is time for some fresh ideas and for some representation down in our area. And also there are other areas of the city that have maybe felt a little neglected. And I have a track record of bringing people together, of listening, being open, transparent. Please feel free to reach out to me anytime. My number is all over the place. My email, my website, marciajudkins.com. Kind of easy to remember. Anyway, I would love to hear from any of you. And I appreciate you being here. Thanks.
Awesome. Now we're going to hear from some of our candidates for city council.
Hello, my name is Catrice McKay. I'm currently on the city council. I'm a citywide seat and I'm running for re-election. There's a steep learning curve to coming into the city, especially citywide, learning all the different parts of the city. And you learn about sewer and you learn about electricity and you learn about, it's just endless. Provo Housing Authority, that's one of the boards I'm on. There's just a lot of things to learn. And so I almost find like it took till my 4th year that I felt like, I've reached my learning curve, like I've done it. And I really look forward to another 4 years where I can be more effective because I have learned everything that I have learned. And I'm very accessible. I hope my number's up there. Yep. You can text, email, call. I do lots of house visits. I've done a lot on the west side, visiting people's houses, visiting their businesses, visiting their land. So please feel free to give me a call and reach out with anything. I've gotten your email. I don't think you came to you didn't come to council, you came to planning commission. Did you come? Okay, great. It's not a long time. It's not a long time. But email, and I remember your email specifically. But please feel free to reach out and thank you for coming. This is a bigger West Side meeting and I'm stoked that this many neighborhoods came. Not neighborhoods, neighbors.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for sticking it out to hear from us. I'm glad to be here. I had never heard of a compressed wood foundation until today, and I looked it up on my phone during the meeting, and I'm sorry that you have one. And I hope that I'm glad you brought that up and shared that. Yeah, my name is Adam Shin. I'm running for city council citywide. I've lived in Provo for several years as a student, a working professional, now as a husband and father, and I'm so glad to be putting roots down here. I've served on the planning commission in Provo, and I love Provo. And to me, loving a place means asking questions. It means asking, how are we doing? Are there ways we could be doing better? Are we addressing challenges that are coming up as they come? And right now, we have some challenges that we're facing as a city that we need to start talking about and addressing and understanding. A lot of people don't know this, but our sales tax revenue, we talked about that earlier, sales tax revenue in Provo has been falling for the last 3 years, actually. And we're projecting an even bigger drop this year. The cost of the city, of running the city, is actually going up due to inflation and labor costs. And we need to actually start having conversations about solutions that we can do for this. I really want to help be a voice for the West Side. I think we've had a lot of big projects coming through, and there's a lot of things I think we could do better to hear the voice of the West Side as we look at big projects, as we're thinking about the needs of the community, beyond just what's good for the city, that we're actually keeping you in the loop. I'd love to talk with you afterwards if you feel inclined to stay. Please reach out. Let me know how I can help you out. Thank you so much.
Thank you to all. Yep, thank you to all the candidates for coming. We've got one last thing. Brooke, do you have the raffle?
Yes.
Okay, let's do the raffle.
Okay. All right. So yes, thanks for coming. We will be doing these raffles for the rest of this year and next year for our, well, okay. These work? Nope. Okay. I'm gonna pull out bags, but grab your tickets out if you grabbed a ticket. See if I can get just one. Okay, the number is 02671999. Anybody? No? Oh, maybe they left. Okay. Do you want to pick one? All right, you pick one, Andrew.
02671989. Yeah, we got a winner. Woo!
And these are thread bags, so from our local store. All right, this one is 02671995. No, 1995. Okay. You had to stick it out through the whole meeting. It's hard. Okay. 02671991.
Awesome. Come. I just want to say again, thank you everyone for coming. We do appreciate your participation. If you didn't get a chance to share your comments, I'm happy to stay. We've got people from the city council, come to planning commission, do everything you can to get your voice heard, and appreciate everyone. Thank you. Thank you.